I mean, it definitely feels like there are fewer people than there were at 7 o'clock this evening. But I won't take that as a personal offence, seeing as they didn't know I was running, otherwise I'm sure they would have stayed. So I'll keep my hush short, as I feel my campaign for election is quite simple and a bit last minute. But I'd like to be Sports and Societies Officer because I think that the various societies and sports offered within college are a key part of the student experience, something that really sort of shows what college has to offer. Putting effort and time into facilitating them is a very worthwhile endeavour. Moreover, I personally have very much enjoyed being a member of several societies and sports within college, running music, BTC, swimming, and then of course partaking in John's Chad's Day. I feel that as Sports and Societies Officer, it would be important to essentially continue the excellent work of previous incumbents, whilst of course being open to criticism, constructive or otherwise, of my work and just how things are done in college, and being open to making changes. But I think generally previous officers have been very good at taking on student feedback and working with members of college to make sure that what the offer is really what people want to get involved with. Yeah, I think it's fairly straightforward. Yeah, and of course I'd be very, very careful to make sure that OLAV is present at as many sporting events as possible, in which I would collaborate with the current consort of OLAV, who is, I can't remember actually. Is it still George? Jonathan Savine. Yes.
Okay. Are there any? You don't.
I'm done.
Okay. Are there any clarifications? Questions?
Maiden Castle is a nightmare to work with. I mean, they really are. So my question is, given that you will have to, in this role, work with Maiden Castle, how would you go about working with and representing students' views to an organisation that is widely disliked by all the people feeding into your discussion? How are you going to moderate that discussion so it's actually productive?
Well, I would of course draw on my experience as chair of FICOM and various other areas around the common room in student debate and I don't know, life in general. You know, I'm 20 years old, so you know, I've had conversations with several people since I was born. And in that time, I've learned that sometimes people say helpful things, and sometimes, sorry, I'm rambling. But yeah, essentially, I'd be very aware of the fact that obviously, you know, Maiden Castle is run by professionals. You know, they do a job and they try their very best to help us and to facilitate the best running of the facility. So going in and saying everything you do is terrible, which is not the case, incidentally. There are some things that they do very well. It's just that the bits students see sometimes aren't as smoothly running as we might like. So it's about finding the most constructive way to take to them what we might like to see changed. And also, you know, it's not just John's here. You know, and the Sports and Society Officer at John's is not the person who's going to be the arbiter of what changes at Maiden Castle. So it's about also working with other colleges, the student body as a whole, and the wonderful university sports people, so DU Sports, to talk to Maiden Castle and be like, yo guys, what's going on?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, that was a very long response to what was a very short question.
Wait, questions? You had a question, George?
Just on top of MC, a lot of captains have a lot of disdain for the way that MC run, and it becomes quite a lot to handle what their opinions are of MC. How do you go about dealing with captains that are, you know, unhappy with the way they're trying training to be prioritised or stuff like that?
Yeah. Well, you know, I'd be understanding, a listening ear always. You know, I think it is undeniably frustrating if you're giving a lot of your own time as busy Durham students to organise something to try and put on activities for your fellow sports people, and you're hitting brick walls. So I understand that that's very frustrating, and I think you take those considerations seriously and do your very best to make some change where it's needed. I think ultimately, without collaboration between colleges, not a lot is going to get done. So I think I would look to emphasise that and try and build some inter-college dialogue to try and get them to take our concerns seriously, essentially. Yeah.
How about Emmy?
How do you go about to increase participation in the sports society? Maybe doing like common rooms and things like that. How do you go around and set that?
So those of you who know me know I have a very loud voice. So I think I'll just stand on Linton Lawn and shout whenever something's going on until everyone in college is taking part. No, I think, it's well established how information gets to students. We've got social media channels, we've got posters around college, which are less useful than I feel perhaps they once were. Now we have social media. So yeah, making sure that the social media keeps up to date. Badgering whoever becomes the comms officer, I'm sure I'll be requesting lots of reposts from the John's Sports and Society social media account, which of course is under control of the not the social media officer, but rather, not the comms officer, but rather Sports and Societies, right? I'm looking at George, yeah. So making sure that's being used to its fullest extent. And encouraging a positive vibe around sports, which I think the sports captains are really good at doing anyway. So working to help facilitate the good work they already do, reposting their posts, all that kind of good stuff. There's a lot of social media in there. I'm sure there's other stuff we can do as well. Making sure in Freshers Week, I think you need to get into students' diaries quickly, right from the start of the year. So making sure that we have a good Freshers Week offering.
Okay, thank you. We have run out of time for you this course.
Okay.
Next we have Treasurer. Okay, we're almost done, everybody.